Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of In the Studio. We're here with episode 11 now, the penultimate episode of this season. As always, I hope everyone's been enjoying watching this screenwriting journey that we've been taking you all on, and I hope that some of the advice and the tips that we've offered has been useful and that you have all been successfully writing some great scripts over the last 11 weeks. This week's episode is pretty much the final one in terms of actual writing, and that is how to take a script from being a good script to a great script. And honestly, there is a big difference. Writing a good script can happen, within a couple of drafts, and some writers might be happy with that and sit on that and just kind of leave it there. But if you really want your scripts to stand out and be successful and either get picked up or by a production company or whatever your goal may be, a good script isn't enough. I would say most of the time what you really need to do is, once you're happy with the script, is then question everything pretty much and take it to the next level. That's how your script will stand out and be noticed out there in the world of all those scripts that people are writing. Everyone thinks they've got a good script, but you need to go in there with a great script, an almost perfect script, to really kind of make a difference. My key tips, and this is from a hell of a lot of experience with rewriting and really pushing a script to its limit, and it's also something I've done with other writers as well. So I know Corey with I Love You Guys, I definitely pushed Corey to the extremes to get that script not only as a good script that we knew it was, but to make it a perfect script and an absolutely top draw script that we knew it could be. I've done the same alongside Sam with the Grim Truth script. We did the same, myself and Sam, with Eden, the project that we shot quite recently. My main experience of it individually is on It Calls Me, which is still ongoing. So that has been a 2-year process now, pretty much, of just refining and digging deeper and deeper into that script and making sure it's as good as can be. And I think, as I said earlier, I think it is all about questioning everything. What I do when I'm happy with a script is I go through every little detail, literally not even messing around, every single word, and make sure it's the best word that can be used, every bit of dialogue, and make sure it's as impactful and important to the script as can be. Make sure every character, description, journey, arc and conclusion is exactly as it should be. It's not, you can't just send in any script that you've got. It needs to be something that you are comfortable with and know that you cannot do anything else with. It has to be something that you are more than comfortable with and happy with and proud of, which I'm sure we're all proud of the work that we do, but I think you'd only kick yourself if you send something to someone hoping for an opportunity, knowing that script isn't as good as it could be. So you do need to have a certain kind of mentality to go into these kind of final rewrites, and you have to be quite ruthless and do things that you might not like, but that is for the greater good of that script.
Hi guys, my name's Lewis Coates. I'm a writer, director and producer based in Sheffield. I've made 2 short films in the last few years that have screened and won awards at film festivals, including my most recent, Redisplacement, which was picked up by the sci-fi platform Dust. I'm also part of the BFI's Creative Producer School this year, and it's my work in all these different areas that has given me the experience to know how important script development is. Now, script development isn't necessarily more writing, but it's taking that writing and developing it further, looking at the characters, the plot, the ideas behind it, the mood, tweaking all the individual elements to make everything a lot better. And this is how you make a good script great. So it's really easy to cram too many ideas and too many scenes into a film, especially a short film, Every scene, every word, every sentence needs to fight for its place, and if it doesn't achieve its purpose, it either needs to be developed further until it reaches that point, or removed completely to make room for the scenes that really do deserve their place. Now, this is probably one of the hardest elements to get right because it takes so long, not necessarily just actively writing and working on it, but leaving it alone, having a week off, coming back to it, letting the ideas kind of simmer in the back of your mind, so that when you come back to it, you can see things with fresh eyes and notice things that you didn't before. Now, a lot of the time when we're writing, we're really focused on the details, maybe a relationship between two of the characters, or a spy subplot that we want to shine through, or even a way that one of the characters wears their hair in a certain scene that reflects the emotions that they're feeling. And all these things are really great for the writing aspect, but when we're developing, we need to take a big step back, look at the script as a whole, what it means, what you want your audience to take away from it. If you could sum it up in one sentence, what would it be? Not narratively, but thematically. Is it a coming-of-age story that shows that growing up is really tough, but once you've found your people, you'll get through it? Or a sci-fi expedition that proves aliens aren't the true enemy, but the distrust and miscommunication of the crew that's the real downfall? So once you've figured out your thematic message and how this changes from the start to the middle to the end, you can look at each individual scene and work out how that propels that message along. Each scene needs to either push the narrative forward or build character. So what is the meaning of each scene? Maybe one of them is to show that your protagonist is upset and they need help. Look at how that scene starts and ends, the dialogue on screen, and make sure that the tone and the feeling reflects that message the whole way through. It's a careful balance of looking at all the details, but also taking a step back and looking at it from a distance to make sure that all those individual details come together to achieve the full picture that you're trying to achieve. So there's a lot of reading and rereading in development, and dialogue is usually the hardest thing to develop and get perfect, and it's sometimes the thing that we leave till the end. If you watch the last episode of In the Studio, you'll already have loads of great tips about dialogue writing, so I'm going to try not to repeat anything there. But make sure you read your dialogue lines out loud so you can hear exactly what they sound like. Sometimes they sound great when you read them in your head, but once you get an actor to read them out loud, they just don't sound right. Make sure your dialogue fits your character. Maybe even imagine a similar actor that you imagine casting in it so you can put a face to a name. If they're a young person, there might be lots of hesitations or abbreviations or swearing. Add in mannerisms and personality traits that may change their dialogue and add a unique twist. Each sentence you write should feel personal to that character. Read through the whole script and concentrate on just one character. Imagine you're them. Look at each line of dialogue they say and make sure it fits who they are and how they're feeling. Are they scared? Are they relaxed? Are they with new people that they've never met before? Would their situation in this scene change how they're going to be talking? A really good writing task is to look at the line of dialogue and think of 5 different ways that you can say the same thing. Maybe one that's more confident, one that's more reserved. Make sure you've picked the right one for your character in that moment. Maybe if they're really shocked or upset, they wouldn't even have the words to say, and you can just do everything with actions. In real life, we don't always speak as directly as characters do in film. Keep your dialogue authentic and not spoon-feedy. Once you've gone through the whole script as that character, move on to the next one and do the same again. Maybe if you think your characters are complex and well developed, and your dialogue is already tight, then maybe you want to develop your plot. Firstly, make sure it's exciting, and audiences will be captivated watching it. Film is either about escapism, taking your viewer to an exciting or thrilling new place, or teaching them something about the world today, sometimes both. Again, look at what you're trying to achieve, what you want your audience to feel, and make sure that your film and each scene are doing that. Look at the pacing and how quickly your story progresses. You should always start your story in a normal place where we see the characters living their day-to-day lives as normal. That could still be a depressing dystopia or hellscape, but we need to set the rules of the world of the film. You can then introduce the inciting incident that changes that normal to something different. This doesn't have to happen halfway through, but if you do want us to empathise or sympathise or fall in love with your characters, you need to give the audience enough time at the beginning to get to know them before mixing it up. Storytelling is about giving the audience knowledge. You don't want to tell them everything at once at the start. Drip feed certain aspects of your story throughout, giving the audience just enough information to keep them interested. Push your motives and ideas through subtly. Don't have a huge exposition dump or use too many cliches. The characters' lives need to be believable in the wider story and the world that you've created. If you know where your story starts and ends, but you feel like you don't have enough in the middle, maybe think of characters or objects that could be used as obstacles to stop your protagonist from reaching their goal. If they start as a student and end as an Olympian, think of different people or different things that could get in their way of them achieving that goal. Maybe their parents, their friends, their mental or physical health. Slowly increase these levels of conflict and leave the biggest antagonists for the end, where they can finally meet their match and either succeed or fail. So my tips overall is to make sure everything on the page is truly worthwhile, and don't be afraid to get rid of certain aspects if it's going to let the rest shine. Look at each line of dialogue and think of better ways it could be said for that character in that particular moment. Look at your plot and pacing and make sure each scene pushes the story forward or develops character. And that's how you turn your good script into a great script. Thanks for listening.
Hi everyone, so it's been a few weeks since I've been on these, so I'm glad to be back. I think that this is a very difficult topic to tackle because I don't think that you as a writer will ever fully believe that your script is great, but there are some things that you can do to know that you're happy with it and that you're ready to put it out into the world. And I think that for me that often comes from just really rereading the script and going through it and feeling like you're living the story alongside them. I think that if you read the script and you can see yourself from like a third person perspective, there just has to be something missing, because if you're not fully immersed in the world with the characters, then I think it's quite difficult to know that it can be something that will exist outside of the page. So if you have actor friends, or even if you don't, you could reach out to the studio. We have so many actors who I'm sure would love to read through your script with you. They don't even have to be actors, they could literally just be friends or family members that you rope into reading aloud. I know that can be a bit awkward though, so that's why I suggest actors. Then yeah, you can just get them in a room, sit them down or get them on a call. And I just think it really massively helps, because when you hear the words, you'll notice things that you didn't even know were a problem. Like, there have been so many times when I have just like heard someone say my words aloud and been like, oh, that's awkward phrasing, I need to go back and change that. And yeah, I mean, all of this works for me just because I'm such a dialogue-driven writer, and if that isn't your thing, then maybe you could physically bring actors into a room and have them stage it and block it out a little bit. And then I think for me, I'm just like a very visual learner, and so when I see things and I can see the problem, then I know how to go back in and adjust and rewrite and rework things. And then you have to do the scary thing of putting it out into the world, which, you know, is always terrifying. But I think that the more people who read your script, the more people who perform it, act it out, you can hear the words, then yeah, you can trust yourself to put it out into the world and just do the scary thing.
So a big thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, spread the word. And of course, remember to check out our Patreon service. Again, big shout out to our patrons so far: Dave Nuttall, Kristen Brookman, _Studios, and John Bridges. Thank you very much, you guys, for your support. It means the world to our team. If anyone can also join us, that would be amazing, and will help us support the indie film industry and support new creatives with the JumpCut Creative Fund, a fund that we will give to new writers and filmmakers using the money that we get from your support. So please check it out, pick a tier, and reap the rewards yourself as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next week for the final episode of the season.